Get home from school, turn on my TV. Who are these friends staring right back at me? Now that we're older, why don't you come over and go back in time with me? 90s babies nostalgia.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is 90s Babies Nostalgia, where a couple of 90s babies rewatch and sometimes watch for the first time tween entertainment from the early 2000s.
Just to be clear, we are not sponsored by or affiliated with any of the shows, channels that we talk about on our podcast. We just really love talking about TV, and today we are talking about The Sweet Life of
Zack and Cody.
Zack and Cody.
Season 1.
Season 1.
Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Today we will be talking about episodes 13, 17, and 19 through 22. We covered the intro and first few episodes in our previous podcast episode. So if you didn't listen to that, go back and do that because you should. And it really sets us up for the season. But before we get into our episodes, Jessica, what have you been enjoying lately?
I have been watching, which I know late to the game, this is super, super late, but The Summer I Turned Pretty on Amazon Prime, which they're a Jenny Han series, so same author as To All the Boys. So very similar style, but it's a TV series versus movie. I've never read the books. It is just like coming of age love triangle. It's really cute. It gives me like nostalgia feels of like growing up and summer antics, and it is just like adorable. I love it. I still have season 2 to watch, so I'm hesitant to say what team I'm on because I know that's a big thing. But it is like really, really good. I watched season 1 almost completely in one day, which Amanda knows for me, I'm not like actually a huge binge watcher. Like it takes me a while to watch things. So the fact that I watched 6 45-minute episodes in one day is like shows you that I clearly loved it. What have you been enjoying?
I love a Jenny Han production, but I've only seen the first episode of The Summer I Turned Pretty. I couldn't get into it for some reason. And you probably know, but it did not get picked up for a third season. So don't get too attached in season 2. Because I don't know if it actually like closed out well. But I think for me it was the whole like that premise of like you were awkward and now you're suddenly pretty. It's like, what?
Sure.
Like she's not a butterfly. She didn't go through a cocoon. But anywho, what have I been enjoying lately? This is actually a recommendation more for you, Jess, than for the listeners, although listeners as well. I just think you would like this. I have a podcast recommendation for once.
Whoa.
I know. Well, it's because there's a visual component. I watch it on YouTube, but it is primarily a podcast. Good Mythical Morning has the Mythical Kitchen because on Good Mythical Morning they have a lot of food stuff, so they have chefs, so then they gave them their own channel, and then they have a podcast, the chefs, called A Hot Dog is a Sandwich. Have you ever heard of it?
I have not heard of the podcast, no.
Okay. It's hosted by their 2 main chefs who you don't know, but you would know because they've been on Try Guys videos, so you would see them and be like, got it.
Okay.
And it's about a 45-minute podcast where they just talk about food stuff. They'll pick a topic. And one of them has like the most ridiculous level of food knowledge and also ADHD. So he talks way too much and just like dives into everything. And
I love that though.
Yeah. And he's so chaotic. And also what I love about him and to another extent the girl, they balance each other out well. She's a little more of a straight man, but they're not pretentious chefs. Like they are good at their what they do, but like a lot of the stuff that they do is like which tastes better, a meal cooked from ingredients from Trader Joe's or from the dollar store. Like, and they're not against the dollar store food at all. So they're not pretentious, and so they have the LA bagel topic. I just listened to a crumble cookie one where they reviewed it. Now I'm listening to them ranking Girl Scout cookies, and they have one on like the myth of, is pork the other white meat, and like they go through all these different food topics that they just feel like discussing. And then they always have a segment where listeners can send in questions, and they call it opinions or like casseroles. And usually people send in like controversial food opinions, and they discuss it.
Fun. Yeah, I'll definitely have to give that a listen. Though honestly, I'm like semi maxed out on podcasts right now. I listen to too many, but maybe I can get rid of one for this one if I like it. Episode 13, Poor Little Rich Girl. This one was definitely on the reruns because I remember it very, 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 very clearly.
This one came up and I was like, epitome of Sweet Life.
Yeah, like they must have played it every single weekend. Like, I'm like, I probably have seen this episode 50 times.
You're like, I actually didn't need to watch this one. I remember it verbatim.
Yeah. So our A plot, Tipton has gone broke. And I was going to say Brenda Song, true. London finds out because she is holding a newspaper and the headline is there and everyone's like, oh my God, London, turn that around. And basically her dad invested too much money into a diamond mine that had no diamonds. And so they're broke. Her dad's staying in hiding, and they mention this, which I was like, feels weird that they bring that up. And can't send for London, so she's forced to like move out of the hotel. They're selling all their stuff because they need to sell her room to make money. And London stays with Maddie because Maddie has a spare bed in her bedroom because her sister moved out. There's a whole entire thing that goes on there. Like London is learning how to like live in a normal household where she's not being taken care of all the time. But Maddie's supposed to babysit for the boys, and Maddie's like, you know what? Right now you need the money more than I do, which I don't think is true. But she's like, you can babysit for extra money. She freaking sucks at it. She burns a grilled cheese. It's a whole thing.
She doesn't even put bread on the cheese. She just puts cheese on a griddle.
Correct. Which is a thing, which I think is funny because, right, like the whole blow up of keto, like cheese chips are now a thing where you just like put a thing of cheese and cook it until it's essentially burnt cheese and makes a chip.
Also grilled halloumi and mozzarella and various cheeses. However, she puts a Kraft single plastic on a griddle.
Yeah, with the plastic. Like she doesn't even remove the plastic. Then at the end of this episode, she's rich again. They struck oil in the diamond mine, and London takes Maddie out as a thank you. And we've touched on it. They have this like frenemy, but more friends than enemies thing going on. But in this video, we have a moment where they agree to be friends. B plot. Oh my God, so stupid.
It's so stupid. B plot, they're watching a home video and see Carrie giving birth and then are scarred, they being Zack and Cody. And then they see this clip where their dad like isn't entirely sure which twin is which when they're infants. And they're like, do you even know which one of us is Zack and which one of us is Cody? And so basically for the entire episode, they switch personalities, and Zack is like doing his homework and dressing normal. Well, not normal, nerdy. And Cody is like hitting on Maddie and disrespecting people. And then they get their footprint record from the hospital to match up their feet and find out that they are, in fact, who they originally thought. Zack is Zack and Cody is Cody. That's literally it. It's very silly.
Yeah, super silly. This whole episode, I don't even know where to start with it. Because I'm like, yes, I know it so well, but also it's kind of crazy.
It's kind of very similar plot lines if you think about it, because it's like London switching from rich to poor. So it's like doing the opposite. Um, it is a little bananas.
Yeah. And there's just like a lot of things where it's like London's room is not really a hotel room, so I understand wanting to sell it, but also it feels like there'd be a very small percentage of people that would pay the amount for that type of room. They're also like selling all of her clothes and stuff. Like Carrie goes and like buys a jacket, but then London's like, "Oh, that jacket, I love it." And then Carrie gives it back to her. So that
Yeah.
there's just things where I'm like, would this really happen?
Well, because it's not the Tipton that's selling all that stuff, it's the bank.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's like their assets were not quite foreclosed, but it's like the start of foreclosure. And
Mhm.
so their assets are getting sold off by the bank. So I think it kind of makes sense when you think about this as her house. But
Sure.
yeah. Whereas
Also,
like you wrote,
London
but Carrie still gets hers, but like Carrie's is a business expense, whereas London's is a personal expense.
okay. I guess that makes sense. Also, in the home video, like Carrie is actively giving birth. Like
Uh-huh.
babies are coming out. And she, because Zach is older, so she delivers Zach. And then she's like, "Oh my God, there's another one." And I'm like, did she not know? Like, she had to know she was having twins.
Yeah, although I wouldn't put it past Carrie to be like just like in disbelief, like I have to do this again, even if she knew. But still, I agree. Out of pocket, like no one in the last 50 years has unknowingly had twins. I
Yeah,
hope.
yeah. I would hope as well. I'm sure it does happen,
But people with
though.
hospital care and ultrasounds should not
Yes,
be doing it unknowingly.
correct. Part of the whole like Maddie London plot line is that they're like having these little sleepovers and bonding, and like Maddie's teaching London how to be a normal person.
Mhm.
Uh, and in that, they make the bed every single morning, which I'm like, no one makes their bed every morning, especially as a teenager. But London is trying to put on the fitted sheet, and she's like using her arms and her legs to like hold the four corners down. And in Maddie's room, it's Murphy bed, so it's like the beds that fold up into the wall. And
Mhm.
so London's like doing that, and then the bed starts to close on her as she's holding on to the like fitted sheet. And the physical comedy just like really brought me back to that So Ravens days, and I just thought it was a really good moment. Like it really made me giggle. I was like, oh, that's too funny.
Can we talk about how iconic Maddie's room is? Because I don't think we see it that often in the show. We see it once
Mm-mm.
season one and maybe a couple times later on. But I think like it imprinted in my brain so strongly
Mhm.
with the Murphy beds. She has that like classic netting stuffy organizer that hangs from the ceiling that I had.
Yes. Yep.
That so many of us had with the multiple tiers. She apparently lives across the street from Fenway Park, and the peanut guy throws peanuts up at her.
Yeah.
Saul.
Yeah.
Um, first of all, you would never afford to live across from Fenway Park if you're broke. You would also never be able to hear the peanut guy, nor would he be able to hear you. Like, there's just
No.
so many questions I have about that. There's so many questions.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense at all.
And I've been to Fenway Park, and I can say this with confidence. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, and this is not Fenway, but one of my really good friends lived across from the baseball stadium in Denver.
Mhm.
Literally across from it, you could see the scoreboard. We could see all the. I mean, they were tiny, but you could see the players running around. Like
Cute.
literally right across from it. You are not communicating with anyone that's in that stadium. Like it's
Mm-mm.
still too far, so it's
Mhm.
completely impractical.
Mhm. Yeah. It's very an interesting choice, but it's one of those few moments where the show says, "We're in Boston."
Yeah.
I do really like this stuff with London and Maddie though. Like, I love their friendship, and this episode we get to humanize London more. Maddie
Yeah.
starts to feel bad for her, and like maybe Maddie's upbringing was in a way not better but beneficial in other ways, because
Yeah.
London doesn't know how to do anything for herself, and she's never had dinner with her family before. She had a rotating list of nannies that didn't speak English, so she's like a lonely person.
Yeah, she's very independent but
Mhm.
super lonely and like very sensitive to things that happen in the world around her because she is so lonely that like going over to Maddie's you kind of get this like sense that London's like, oh, this is what home is supposed to feel like and I never had
Mhm.
that.
She's
And it is
never
actually very sweet and such a like strange wild episode. There are some really wholesome touching moments.
Yeah. There are she's never had sleepovers either. And she's like, "But I know what to do from the movies," which is just kind of sad.
Yeah.
Um I did write this note though related to this, the assassination of London's character to come, because I felt like this episode and some others that in this season really highlight a well-rounded character in London. She can be ditzy, she's not the most book smart, she is shallow, she likes to shop, but she does still have this, like, grounded background
Yeah.
of growing up the way that she did, and she can, at the end of the day, communicate with Maddie and have, like, real conversations, and I just feel like by the time we get to season 4, and especially to Sweet Life on Deck, she's just gonna be dumb as a fucking doorknob, like it's gonna be like Ariana Grande playing Cat Valentine, where the first season she was kind of a character, like kind of a human, and by the last season of Victorious, she was just like, and like
Yeah.
just played into, and like I feel like I'm gonna hate London so much more as we go.
Yeah. I do want to say though, like, yes, I know that happens and we are going to comment on that. But also, like, from a writer's perspective, imagine how difficult that is. Like, you're asked to essentially create a character with like no depth or very little depth and then continue that for like what? Between Sweet Life and Sweet Life on Deck, like 6 seasons?
Yeah, that's true. And I know with the Ariana perspective, she leaned into it intentionally, like the
Yeah.
actress did. I
Yeah.
don't know what it was for London, and I could see that being difficult, but I do
Sure.
also think the writing gets lazier,
Yeah.
but
Well, speaking of London and writing for London's, one of my favorite quotes of this was when she finds out she's rich again. She's eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because she learned that's something she likes now. But she goes, "Goodbye, peanut butter. Hello, lobster dipped in butter." It just was so good.
you also liked the threat to call immigration to the nanny, which the quote for that, because she said that her nannies regularly didn't speak English, was, "I learned how to say 'let me stay up later.' I'm calling immigration in 18 different languages."
Yeah. Which I'm like, oh my God, terrible. Freaking horrible.
Mhm.
Do you have anything else on Poor Little Rich Girl?
No, I just think it's a really, really well-rounded episode. And I also
Agreed.
it's one of the fews where I would say the boys are the B plot, which I was a little surprised by and pleasantly so.
Hmm. And actually, I mean, I didn't go through on the episodes you made me watch and like count how many the boys were the B plot, but I feel like this happened more than in other shows. Like, we get a few times where like the boys are the B plot, or they're like just as in like the A plot is everyone intertwined with one another. Which I like. It feels like they pull on the side characters in this show a little bit more, which helps create like a well-rounded story, especially because the episodes don't really rely on one another to progress.
I agree. You get more room for each character to breathe. So,
Yeah. And character development. Like, I feel like even after watching one season, I'm like, oh, I kind of know who these characters are.
Like this one
including
was
the side characters.
like this one was a really good one to understand Maddie and London. Even if we didn't really understand the boys because they were being stupid.
So dumb. Well, in this one, everyone is dumb. Our next episode is episode 17, Rockstar in the House. Guys, we fucking get Jesse McCartney.
She literally just texted me, we get Jesse McCartney? And like, fair, because I forgot as well that he had an episode. Also, Beautiful Soul turns 20 years old this year. That's fine and casual, and I don't feel weird about it at all.
That makes me so uncomfortable. I actually like lost air. Like I couldn't breathe for a moment. Well, Jesse McCartney is staying at the hotel.
Of course he is.
And London, I wrote she needs to. I don't know that she needs to. London wants to sneak in to meet Jesse. So Maddie and her dress up as waiters, carrying like a little in-room dining cart that has some like water and food on it into the rehearsal room. And then Jesse, of course, sings us Beautiful Soul, because why would we bring him on the show if we weren't going to make him sing? And London and Maddie are like dancing and squealing and singing along and vibing, but also at the same time, like mentally reminding themselves that they're waiters. And so then they'll like get back into like the stiffness of being a waiter, but then like squeal.
And they're dressed as male waiters.
Yeah. Yes. Like with little fake facial hair and stuff.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's so funny because you just see them like dancing like idiots and then be like, yeah, pour the water. Like,
yeah, it's really good.
It's a good scene.
Yeah. And then later on, London and Maddie sneak into Jesse's room, which I don't remember why they snuck in, but they did have a reason. And while they're in the room, Zack also sneaks in because he learns that anything Jesse touches is worth money. So he is grabbing items so he can sell it to all of the like fangirls that are screaming outside of the hotel. And while they're in the room, Jesse returns, but then he goes to the bathroom and they all kind of sneak out. But then Maddie realizes, oh crap, they have his lucky bracelet. He wears it in all of his performances. How is he going to perform without his lucky bracelet? It's going to be the end of the world. We need to return it. So they sneak back into his room while Jesse McCartney is sleeping in the bed.
And London gets in the bed and tries to take a picture as if they're cuddling and says it could be their Christmas card.
I could not handle that scene. It made me so uncomfortable. And as a former hotel employee who assisted with VIP stays, such as if Jesse McCartney was staying at a hotel, it gave me such anxiety how they were acting in his room. I was like, I can't. Also, they're trying to return the bracelet, and instead of just like putting it on the nightstand or something like normal people, they're like, we have to return it to the drawer that we took it from, but the drawer's stuck. So they're like banging this dresser around while London's in bed with Jesse McCartney, yelling at each other, making so much noise. At one point, Maddie also gets in bed and is like cuddling with Jesse too.
I don't think I remember that part.
But he finally wakes up. Oh, continue.
I was just gonna say he wakes up.
Yeah, he finally wakes up. London and Maddie like sneak out of the room somehow, but Zack is like grabbed by security. But then Zack's like, I was just returning the bracelet. Like, I know he wears it for performances. And so Jesse's like, let him go, let him go. And then they have a conversation. And then Zack and Jesse end up playing video games later in his room.
Yeah. Do we want to note on the A plot before going to the B plot? Or
yeah, that works.
Okay. Because I feel like I have so much more to say on this one.
Okay.
Like, I like that all three of them have different reasons for being there, okay? London, wants to marry Jesse. She's getting her in.
Yeah.
Maddie claims she's not obsessed with him. She's doing a report for the school newspaper,
Oh,
an
yeah,
article
yeah.
on
She's a journalist.
yes, and that's why she knows about the bracelet, because she does her research. And then Zack, he's living in the world of eBay celebrity goods, which is such a 2005 move.
Mm-hmm.
There's a point where they're looking through the drawers and one of them says, "Oh, he's a boxer guy." Why? Why?
Yeah. The
Um
other thing that confused me is if there's security outside of his room the entire time that all of them were in the room,
mhm.
the security would have hurt them and would have went in.
I guess they're just really bad security.
Yeah, apparently terrible.
Oh, and the way that you said that the physical comedy in the last episode was giving Raven, the costumes as the waiters in this one were giving Raven.
Yes.
The
Yes.
costumes bodied that shit. That was so cute. He
Yeah.
sings Beautiful Soul so early on. I was like, what is this? Like, aren't they supposed to sing at the end of the episode?
Yeah. Yeah, they really didn't prepare us for it. It was just like, he's in the hotel. Woo. Oh my gosh, London and Maddie are being silly as fuck. Beautiful soul. I was like, I'm not prepared. I was not ready.
um, this is one of the many episodes that I told you about where they have key cards for rooms they should not have. How much does that stress you out?
So much. There's so much that's just like wrong with the VIP protocol. One, Jesse would never walk in through the front lobby. He would take a back entrance. He also would never use the regular elevator. He would use the back of house elevator and it would be put on pause so no one can enter or exit while he was in it. Like, there's just so much that like it's it's a celebrity. Like, there are celebrities stay at hotels all the time. There are like set processes and procedures that make it like really seamless. The Tempton's a luxury hotel. They probably have celebrities staying there all the time, as we know from the fact that they hosted like that model and soccer player wedding like a few episodes ago. Like,
Mhm.
this shit would not happen. Also, how did they get a house key that just had access? Like, because that key that they had is a
Yeah.
key that gives you access to all the rooms. Like, it's
They
not okay.
That's the thing, is I understand why they wouldn't have him, like, take service elevators and backed entrances for the sake of the plot, mostly for the sake of not having to build more sets. Because I do think you
Sure.
could have the same plot because these are all employees who have access to the stuff elsewhere, Um, but it's the fact that, like, literally any time that the boys want into a room, one of them distracts the front desk person and the other one just swipes a fucking key and they're like, whoop, done. And they know exactly how to do it. Like, whether or
But
not the
that would
key is right
never
there or they're on the
happen.
computer and they know how to activate one, they just like, whoop, done, got it. It's
Yeah,
so
not
quick.
okay.
I did have the note of Zack wanted to say he found the bracelet, but Maddie thinks it's a better idea to sneak in while he's sleeping. And I
Mhm.
think that's really stupid. Just say
Yeah,
you found
especially
it.
because Maddie is supposed to be the smart one.
Yeah. Also, the point of Zack becomes friends with him, it's because
Mhm.
the girls run off and Zack's caught by security and he's like, "Wait, you hang out with those girls? How old are they?" And he's like 3 years older than me. And he's like, "Yeah, respect." Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then they play video games cuz Jesse's like, "Sometimes I just want to be like a normal guy and play video games."
Mhm.
It's just so weird to me, the whole he hangs out with girls that are 3 years older than him.
I know. Like, I'm like, his options are limited in terms of friends his age that live in a hotel or are
Mhm.
at the hotel enough to be friends with. Do you want to go B plot?
Okay, yeah. I like that in this one, the B plot. I like in this one that Zack and Cody have different plot lines.
Yeah.
So
Me too.
Cody is the B plot. So he's entering Boston's junior science contest and he goes down to Arwen's little room in the basement for help with some of his tools. And progressively things are complicated and Arwen knows how to help him, but Cody doesn't want to cheat, but then he starts to just conveniently become, well, I can't use the power tools, I'm 12. And
Mhm.
Arwen ends up doing a lot of the building of this laser for him. Then they go to the event. The laser works until it doesn't and kind of explodes. Um, he cuts a square in a sheet of metal, but then it like goes all over the place. Is what
Uh-huh.
happens. But he does win. He does win despite this. But then he feels guilty and confesses on stage that he cheated and gives the reward to Arwen. And the guy is like, "How old are you? Because this is for 14 and under." And he's like, "I'm 13 and a half." And then, obviously gets disqualified. And Carrie is the reason he gets guilty because she like can tell that Cody didn't do it all himself. That's the B plot.
Yeah. That is the B plot. I don't really have that many notes except that like we see Arwen and Cody work on the laser together.
Mm-hmm.
And like Arwen does take over at certain parts, but still the laser that we see in the like engineering office in the basement is
Mm-hmm.
not the same at all as the one that is then at the competition.
What do you mean? Like the one that
Like
we
they're just not the same. Like they look completely different. They don't look similar in size, color, anything. They look
Mm.
completely different. So I'm like, are we to believe that like Arwen just improved it this much that this is now what it looks like? Or that Arwen scrapped Cody's completely and built a new one from
Mm.
scratch?
I'm not sure what we're supposed to believe, but either way, he was too involved.
Yep.
I think my main note for this one was that Barbara Brownstein she made a volcano and it doesn't go off until it gets hit by the laser. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's as the same name, but I'm pretty sure that actress becomes a recurring character as Cody's rival slash girlfriend.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
yeah. It's yeah, it's fine. Mostly I just like that they had different plot lines.
Yeah. I have a couple quotes.
Mhm.
Both from the Jesse McCartney plotline. Zack goes, "There's big money in obsession," which just like
True.
valid then, valid now, probably will be valid forever. Um,
So true.
yeah. And we kind of touched on this, but I think this is either when Maddie's like getting in bed with Jesse again or just doing the shenanigans in the room. But she's like, I'm a journalist. I do my research.
It's when she's explaining about the bracelet and why he needs it.
Oh, yep. Yep.
Mine was the Orlando Bloom incident. I don't know the full quote, but there is a comment that the reason London can't talk to Jessie is she's been banned from celebs after the Orlando Bloom incident. And Orlando
Yes.
Bloom is repeatedly mentioned throughout season 1 in these little snippets. Like there's one point where they're like, I bet Orlando likes smart girls. And I don't know what happened, but I'm really into the lore, and I bet you there's like a fan Wikipedia that could piece it all together for me.
100%. There definitely is a Sweet Life wiki. I briefly looked at it. I don't remember seeing anything, but I'm sure it exists on there.
Okay. Episode 19, the infamous ghost of 613. And infamous, I
Hmm.
threw in. Anyway, it's the Halloween episode, baby. And a lot of people say that this is their favorite Disney Channel Halloween episode. So,
Hmm.
London tells Zack and Cody about the ghost of Sweet 613. And Muriel is like, yeah, here's the keys. There's Irene, and she was sad visiting with on her honeymoon in 1942. Then her husband ran away and was unfaithful or something. I don't know. You wrote or some shit. I don't know. And like, I honestly couldn't really follow either. But Irene got angry and shattered a mirror and it killed her. And now she haunts the suite. And they also get these like stories from Arwen and from Mosby about what it was like. And it's spooky. And earlier in this episode, we've seen Zack pranking Cody, and Cody's a little scary baby. So Zack dares Cody to sleep in the haunted room, and Carrie, for some reason, allows it if London and Maddie are there.
So confusing. Like, okay, my 12-year-old twins, please have a sleepover with 15-year-old females. This will be great.
Who
In a
can't
haunted
even
room.
grill cheese? Like, okay.
Yeah.
And then Arwen just conveniently shows up, and Esteban conveniently shows up, and Arwen has this like ghost finding gadget because he's like, it's the perfect time because Mother's out at bingo. And the portrait of Irene winks, and then Esteban holds a seance, and all of the characters start getting sucked back. It's like very dramatic and kind of cool. It's like a haunted mansion ride at Disneyland.
Yeah.
They get sucked away one by one, mostly because they said pizza, and Irene was like, pizza. And
Yeah.
I don't even understand why Irene like hates pizza or needs pizza. I didn't catch that. Did you catch that?
I think her husband, that was his favorite food or something like that.
Got it. Like
So
everyone else in America.
Yeah, when she brings up when anyone brings up the word pizza, like immediately makes her like extremely angry.
And now Zack is all alone in the dark with this ghost, and he's scared, and he runs, and the doorknob falls off, and he can't get out, and he's freaking out, and he turns around, and there's ghost sheets coming at him, and then it's of course all of the same people, and they were pranking him, and they're like, haha, now you know what it's like to be scared. And then later they go back to the room because Cody left his blankie there. I like that you wrote blankie, not blanket. It is his blankie, in fact. And
it's not his blanket, it's his blankie.
I know, I just said that.
Okay.
I said I like that you wrote it because it is in fact his blankie.
Details.
And the woman who looks like Irene appears and gives it back to him, and then they realize it is her ghost, maybe?
Yeah. It looks like Irene. Like, it looks like the portrait of her brought to life.
Mm-hmm. And that's the whole... There's not really a B plot, right? Like, that's the whole episode. Because everyone's in it.
That's the whole episode. Yeah, everyone's in it. What are your thoughts about this Halloween episode? I know you mentioned that it's iconic and a lot of people remember this one, and a lot of people say it's their favorite or the spookiest. Like, there is a lot of excitement around this specific Halloween episode.
I think it's my least favorite so far.
Me too.
Okay, I love that for us. As long as we agree, fuck everyone else.
Guys, it low-key sucks. It's not good. And the people who say it's scary, I'm like, go watch the Even Stevens episode. That one is terrifying. Yeah.
Even the Lizzie one is a little bit scarier. Like, the only thing that's like mildly scary or cool is when they all get sucked away, which then is like, we didn't say this, but it's like Arwen was doing the effects, which I don't know how the fuck he was doing all of that. That's the only part, right? But you see it coming from a mile away, and it doesn't last very long.
Yeah, no, it's like maybe a minute and a half. Like, it's so quick, that entire scene of them all getting sucked away. It's really not, to me, it's giving like community haunted house vibes. So it's really not that scary because it's just like thrown together haunted house, you know?
It's giving me Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion without like any of the scary parts.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just like, it was an enjoyable episode. I just personally, if we've seen 4 Halloween episodes, right? Because I don't think Phil had one. If we've seen 4, this is my 4th favorite.
Yeah, this is definitely my least favorite as well. And we both were very honest that we actually didn't love the Lizzie one either. So it's not like us just saying shit to say shit. Like, we are being honest. It's just is not that great. I think maybe it's just age, because when Sweet Life came out, Sweet Life kind of includes millennials, but even maybe some older Gen Zers also grew up watching it. So maybe it just like includes a lot more people, and that's why there's a lot of nostalgia around this episode.
More
Because
nostalgia.
but it's not that great. Also, I wrote all of this over $5, and I don't know what I meant by that. Do you know what I meant by that?
You wrote all of this over $5?
Like, did the boys maybe bet $5? Was like
Oh,
Zach
I
like, I'll
think
give you $5?
he probably did because he dared him. Yeah, that's probably what it was. It's
When
yeah, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, when Esteban is holding the seance, he has this like cheetah scarf wrapped around his bellhop hat. And is that supposed to make him look more like a psychic? I was very confused.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It's silly. Arwen's ghost finding machine literally just looks like a little portable vacuum AC looking thing. It's not giving Ghostbusters at all.
It's not agreed. Continue. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No. You go.
We get this weird, so when Mosby tells them about 613, we get this flashback of when he started as a bellhop and first interacted with the ghost of 613. And we get to see him with a fro and saying some slang of the time, supposedly. And he's going in 613 to catch some Z's, and like, it's giving awkward
Yeah.
stereotype.
Yeah.
Weird.
Agreed. I thought it was weird. Part of me liked showing that, like, I don't know. I did like that they show that, like, Mosby has worked there for so long and kind of has worked his way up into management. However, yes, that whole flashback scene was a little strange.
Yeah, I liked the effect of the flashback. I didn't love how they leaned into him being so stereotypical.
Yeah.
I get that it was for comedic effect, but like, was it really funny?
Yeah. No.
I feel like I'm such a harsh critic this time around, but whatever, guys, step it up.
Yeah. The only other notes I have are like not necessarily as plot driven. So do you have plot driven notes?
Do I have a plot driven note? Not really. I have other notes, but it's mostly like, I think it's the one thing I think is really cool is when Irene's voice comes out of Esteban when he's having the seance.
Yeah, I actually did like that effect. It was really good.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Because it makes you feel like Irene is now in Esteban. It was cool. I feel like if there's one thing going for this Halloween episode, that part is good.
Also, that actor has been praised for his like ability to imitate, and I don't know about in this episode in particular, but like the way that he uses his mouth and face, he's so expressive and he does it right on time. He does it in another episode with Mosby. When Mosby loses his voice, he like imitates his voice and speaks for him. But he like, yeah, I just think he's a very good actor for that kind of humor.
Yeah.
What are your other notes?
Jessica has problems with closed captioning a series. This episode, Zach's name is spelled incorrectly. The name of the damn show is Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Like, I'm dyslexic and I still think that's ridiculous. They spelt it with an H.
Oh, because that's how it should be spelled.
Sure, but more than once. And I was like, who let this happen?
It's
the
lazy.
Other thing that, yeah, it was very lazy. It bothered me. The other thing that I wanted to like note is people die in hotels all the time. Like, I feel like they really are like, oh my God, the haunted room. She died here. Like, every single hotel I've worked at, including one that I only worked at for 9 weeks, someone has died. And
I
I only
actually
worked there for 9 weeks.
I actually had that note of like, there is no way in hell that a hotel would let a room sit empty for so long. It's been empty for decades. Just because someone died in it and it's supposedly haunted, like, no.
Absolutely not. The only thing accurate is there is a woman in the hallway who learns that the room is haunted, and most people's like, no, we can't let anyone know. And she's like, people would pay really good money for that. And I was like, facts, because a lot of hotels capitalize, especially if they are truly haunted, will capitalize on being haunted and, sell those rooms out for experiences. But also just the fact that like someone died in a hotel means that it's haunted, which is what kind of was implied in this episode. I didn't love, because again, people think of how often people die. People die in hotels way more than you think. I have seen a body bag leave the hotel way more than you would like to know. Like, it is a normal occurrence.
That just got dark, and I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Think of how many people died in hotels during the height of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was a lot of
I just
hotels
got chills.
had
Yeah.
COVID patients in them at the time because they couldn't be open for business and hospitals were overrun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And Anthony Padilla has of Smosh, she has a girlfriend who is kind of into like ghost stuff, and they every so often will go to a hotel room in another state. Like they'll go on a trip somewhere to a hotel that is supposedly haunted and stay in it overnight and have their little like electro sensor shit, and like it's a whole thing. It's a whole industry of ghost tourism. So that's my thing, is like they would be making extra bank on it, not letting it sit empty, losing money.
Yeah, you would sell it as an experience if it truly was a haunted room, which they are showing that it semi is. So,
Even if it wasn't haunted, they would
sense.
sell it as potentially haunted.
I have one quote. This is from Arwen when he comes in with his machine that is, as Amanda said, a vacuum. He goes, "We have 20 scary abnormalities in this room, and 19 of them are me."
Yeah. Next episode, another, I think, iconic one.
Yeah, I agree.
Dad's Back,
Mm-hmm.
which is episode 20.
Yeah. So Kurt, which is Zack and Cody's dad, is in town visiting, and they're excited because he is the fun parent. And so they're playing baseball in the living room, like knocking things over, having a grand old time, staying up way past their bedtime, starting to watch a horror movie at midnight. And Carrie is pissed because he shows up and is like having a grand old time with the kids, but she's like, you're not the one to pick up the pieces. You're not the one to console them when Cody's now going to have a nightmare for the next 3 weeks. Like, they think you're fun, but I actually have to be the parent in all times. I don't get to just be the fun parent, and you get to just be that.
Yeah. Kurt makes an offhanded comment about how the boys could join him on the road, which they're like, yeah, because he's the fun parent. Yay.
Yeah. So Zack takes him up on this and sneaks into the bus. I don't know if we've mentioned, but Kurt is some sort of musician. And so, of course, because musicians only date other performers, apparently. And so Zack sneaks onto the bus, and Kurt's like, what the hell are you doing here? And he's like, you said we could join you. And he was like, I didn't actually think you would. And Carrie agrees. Like, Kurt calls, and Carrie's like, you know what? It's almost spring break. They have the week off anyway. Just let Zack stay with you. And Zack at first loves it because they're playing card games. He has no bedtime. They're eating junk food. But then it gets to the point where he's like, I'm bored. And everyone is sleeping in late. And I'm tired of this food. And like, I just want to go home. And so Zack does like have this like moment where it's almost like staged as a breakup. Like, he's like breaking up with Kurt to go back to Carrie. And while Zach's away, Carrie like has this like switch that flips where she's like, I'm gonna show Cody that I'm the fun mom. And Cody is over it. He's like,
Because she goes overboard.
yeah, she does.
He's literally like, who are you? And where did my mom go?
Yeah. He's like, can you bring her back, please? B plot.
B plot is Maddie's gonna fail gym. Because she's a shrimpy little bean. And London apparently is really strong. So they train together in the gym, but they're in an actual gym with actual gym equipment. The only thing that they really use is the treadmill and the bench press. And both of those things, how do they use them? London incentivizes Maddie like a horse with a carrot, but with shopping bags and various materials you can buy at the shop, accessories, clothes, shoes. She loves to dangle some shoes like a carrot. And we get a montage of Maddie going from really weak to, actually it's not even really a montage. It's just like she sucks, and then the next clip she's really great. And then she climbs the rope at school, which means she passed gym. That's it. It's really dumb and I hate it.
Yeah. You know, I didn't hate the side plot as much as you did. I thought it was funny. I also think it is the type of working out I subscribe to, in the sense of like, whatever you need to do to move your body, you should only do forms of exercise that excite you and you think are fun. And if what London thinks is fun is like pushing racks of clothes from left to right as like a strengthening exercise, then go for it. It's silly, but like I kind of enjoyed it.
Guys, they bring a whole rolling rack full of clothes into the gym to practice.
Yeah, and they're like,
I get it for London. It feels a little less in character for Maddie.
Sure.
I get what you're saying, and I agree that you should move your body in ways that make you happy. It just was giving a little sexist to me.
I guess I didn't see it like that, because in my head I was like, well, of course, this is how London loves to shop. That's part of her character. So to her, shopping is a form of exercise, and that's why she's so strong. But it is a little sexist.
Yeah, I get it for London. I don't get it as much for Maddie, but either way, like, it was funny. It was fine to give us comedic relief, because the A plot is a little bit heavier, I think, because it's dealing with like real issues in a way.
Yeah. I didn't really have any notes on this one. I feel like I just sat and watched it, which kind of tells you something. Clearly I enjoyed it if I didn't stop to take a lot of notes. I also thought, yes, there are parts of this that are exaggerated, but the A plot did feel real, especially when Carrie was like showing her frustrations towards having to be the single parent and doing it all, and having the co-parent come in for only certain moments, and feeling like the kids see that person in a better light than they see her. Um and yeah, just those moments felt really real, and you could feel like how Carrie felt. Like you could tell that it was something she was struggling with. Then they made it up for, in humor, by making her go like completely off the rails fun. But the real moments of this episode were really good.
I agree. I've been pleasantly surprised in the writing of Carrie's parenting style and situation. I think that her and Kurt's relationship makes a lot of sense. Her reaction to things makes a lot of sense as a single mom. The note that I was going to bring up is that apparently at one point Kurt came home with the wrong twins, and they were girls.
Yeah. Yeah, at the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, also, she at one point sent Zack a 5-page email while he was on Kurt's tour bus, and Zack replied with "back at ya," and Carrie printed it out. And I have a lot of questions about this. Number 1, why did she print it out? It's an email. Number 2, emails don't have pages. So how can you
Fair,
send
but
a
if you
5-page email?
printed it, then you would know how many pages it was.
So do you think she typed up a really long email, sent it to Zack, and then printed it out for herself for her own records?
I have no idea. I agree. It's all confusing.
Oh, I think this is the first episode with 3 storylines, because I guess I thought that Carrie and Cody was a different storyline, but it kind of goes in with the other one, and it was fine.
Yeah. It's not really 3 storylines, but I could see how you could think that.
Yeah.
I have one quote.
Mm-hmm.
It is when London and Maddie are working out, and London is commenting on how shrimpy Maddie is. And Maddie goes, "Can we go back to hair? Go back to my hair?" And London goes, "Yes, it's as weak and brittle as you." That was so mean, but also funny. So mean.
I have a quote from also Maddie. When she is climbing the rope at school, she is chanting to herself, "Get the sandals, get the sweater. I'm gonna make myself look better."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
Guys, episode 21. It's Christmas time. Christmas at the Tipton. Our A plot is a little long, so I split it into 2 parts. But A plot part 1. It's Christmas break. Zack and Cody are going to go skiing. Oh, I wrote snowboarding. I guess they're going snowboarding. Are going snowboarding with Kurt, and Carrie is taking herself on a lovely beach vacation, and she is stoked about it, and she deserves it because she is a hard-working single mom.
Amen.
However, it all gets ruined because a huge storm comes in, and they're completely snowed in.
Mm-hmm.
Airports are closed. It's blizzardy outside. Need to stay indoors. And so Kurt and Carrie are like, you know what? We're going to just get along for the sake of the kids. It's the holidays. We're being forced to be together. We're just going to try our best to like not fight and argue. And so Cody overhears them chatting about this, and he gets it in his head that they still like each other.
Mm-hmm. That mom and dad are getting along better than ever, and they might get back together. And Zack is like, you've lost your mind.
Yeah, Zack's like, it will take a miracle. And Cody's like, Christmas is for miracles, and I'm going to make it happen. And so Mr. Mosby asks Carrie and Kurt to sing together for the guests for a Christmas performance. And they are kind of hesitant about it, but they agree, and they do the performance together. And after the show, Kurt is flirting with someone from the hotel who watched the performance, and Cody interrupts and was like, "This is not going to help you get back together with mom. What the hell are you doing?" And Kurt's like, "We're getting along. We're not getting back together. Like, there's a difference." Then we take a huge turn. This plot.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's a couple that comes in the hotel lobby, and the woman is very pregnant, and the hotel has no empty rooms, of course. And then, but Mosby's like, you can hang out in the lobby as long as you need. And then they go in the elevator, and Zack and Cody also go in the elevator, and the hotel loses power the moment that her water breaks. Also, her name is Mary, which I hate. And they are trying to help her give birth. Cody kind of knows how to help her because he paid attention in health class, I guess. And then Arwen fixes.
But Cody's like trying to get her to do breathing exercises, but really like he is having anxiety from being trapped in this elevator. So the breathing exercises are more for him than they are for her.
Yeah. And then Arwen gets the elevator working, and Cody passes out, and Kurt, Carrie, and Mosby all like fly into hyper speed helping get this baby out, and it comes out 3 months old and shiny clean. And there's a Christmas speech, and then all of the roads and airport are miraculously fine, and everyone leaves. The end.
The end. B plot. Maddie's rigged the Secret Santa at the hotel, so London picks her
So
name.
that she'll get something really good.
Yes. And Mr. Mosby encourages London to make something homemade because London can't really get out of the hotel because of the storm to go shopping. And so she knits Maddie a pink sweater, which has 3 arms holes.
And
So
no
there's,
neck.
yeah, it's wild. And Maddie hates it and is like quite rude about it, but also it is a terrible gift. It's not functional at all. But then ends up apologizing because she's like, you know what, London, this must have taken you a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I appreciate the hard work that you put into the sweater. I have to mention this in my notes. I wrote hardwood instead of hard work, which is funny. I meant hard work.
I have to mention that they throw the sweater at Mary as she's in labor when someone's like, "Do you have a blanket or a towel?" Maddie throws it at them to help deliver the baby, and then it gets re-delivered to Maddie squeaky clean, and she's thanking London for it.
I
So
wrote, this might be the wildest episode we've watched so far, which I think we have said so far in this episode. Every single episode we've watched is wild, but guys, this one is next level. We didn't really dive into it, but you know what? Right now is the perfect time. The whole Mary being pregnant plot is like a weird Jesus plot because it's Mary and Joseph showing up to the inn with the baby on the way, and there's
Mhm.
no rooms in the inn,
Mhm.
and miraculously the baby was born.
Mhm.
And like Mosby gives a speech about it. It was really weird. I
Mhm.
get that Disney is wholesome, but it just felt, why did we do that?
Someone really thought they ate. Like, someone was like, "We need a Christmas episode. It's a hotel. It's a hotel. What can we do? Oh my God. We can do the birth of Jesus. We can do the inn because we have a hotel. Get it, guys?" And like, there's even some little, I didn't note it all down, but there's some little symmetry. There's like 3 guys together that are like the 3 wise men and shit. Like, but why? But why? For what? For it's the religion for me. Like, I get that Christmas is technically a religious holiday, but like, why is this
Yeah,
in a kid's show? And it's so painfully on the nose.
yeah,
Like, not even changing the names at all. Like, she couldn't even be Marie. She's Mary
yep,
and Joseph. And then,
yep,
yeah, it hurt to watch, like, in a
yeah,
cringe way.
yeah. Like, to me, it's like, okay, they started out with a normal Disney trope of like divorced parents, divorced parents with the kids trying to get the parents back together. And
Mhm.
I feel like this is done in this sort of TV over and over again. But then they were like, actually, that's only going to take up half of our storyline. Let's throw in baby Jesus. And I was like, what?
Yeah, the twins getting trapped in the elevator with her while she was giving birth was the least necessary part of that completely unnecessary plot line as well. Because, like,
Yeah.
it's set up in a way when she comes in that you think it's a B plot with Mosby and the hotel staff. So the kids getting thrown into it like that, only for the elevator to get fixed before she actually delivers anyway, it felt weird.
Yeah.
It was like briefly a horror movie. Um, that's how I felt. I was like scared for the boys. I was like, you should not have to see all of this right now. Even though you saw your mom giving birth on the video the other day. Like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want this for you.
Yeah.
The parent thing though, and Cody wanting them to get back together is so Disney. Like, it was screaming like the Eddie stuff in Raven, and I'm just sick of it. Like, I get
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
get that kids probably do that, but I don't know. I'm bored. It's tired.
Yeah, also, like, they see how successful and happy their mom is on a day-to-day basis that it's weird to think that they would try to force that. I don't know.
And there's other in an episode you didn't watch, the one where we find out that Arwen has a really big crush on Carrie. In that episode, the boys encourage her to go dating, because they feel like Cody feels like if she dates, she'll be happy, which is a good thing, and Zack feels like if she dates, she'll be happy, so they'll get away with stuff, which is a good thing. But either way, she goes on a date with someone, and like she starts dating in general, and like they feel good about that. So it's a little strange.
Yeah.
You wrote this, what hotel does a tree lighting ceremony for a tree inside the lobby? I have the note of what hotel does a tree lighting ceremony the day of Christmas.
Yeah, also that all of the things with the tree is weird. They have a tree lighting ceremony. It's on Christmas. Also, like Mr. Mosby giving us like a toast to all the people in the lobby. It was strange. Um, Connected to the tree lighting ceremony because we didn't really like touch on that. But Sweet Life, like other shows I think Phil did this too, is it's like the way the episodes are structured is you get like a minute or 2 minute opening scene into the theme song and then the episode.
Mhm.
And normally that opening scene isn't directly related to the episode, but it has something. It's setting up something.
Mhm.
This one is not setting up, I guess it's setting up that it's Christmas, but they have the tree lighting ceremony, and Cody's like, oh my gosh, there's a bulb that's out. And Arwen's like, oh, and Cody goes and he turns the bulb,
Mhm.
and it causes all the lights to flicker. And then it pans out, and we see that the entire area of Boston has lost power.
That's
And then
so
this is never
stupid.
addressed. It's never addressed. We go into the theme song, and then we kick off in our crazy freaking Christmas episode, but it is never addressed that apparently the whole city of Boston is out of power. What?
Isn't the Tipton out of power because of the storm and they have to like use their backup generator and that's why the elevator stops working at one point?
Yeah, Arwen is mentioning that. Not to get too technical.
Oh no, they're burning the old furnace and Arwen's throwing all the
Yes.
old furniture in it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking of Arwen, the boys are in the elevator and they're like, help, help, help.
And he goes,
Arwen's
Santa?
like, Santa? And it's really funny. Also, speaking of Arwen, I talk about all the time, like, Mr. Mosby's job doesn't make sense. Espen's job doesn't make sense. Like, this is not how hotels function. However, Arwen is the most accurate representation of a hotel engineer I've ever seen.
He feels the least accurate.
No, it is literally so spot on. Hotel engineers are a little kooky because it's not an engineer in what you think of an engineer, but they're like a glorified handyman. They do everything.
Yeah.
They paint, fix electricity, they deal with sewage, they deal with heating, they literally everything they have some sort of knowledge on and how the hotel functions. So naturally they're slightly strange people. Great people. I've loved all the hotel engineers I've worked with, but they are some of the like kind of weirdest. You're like, oh, I gotta go talk to engineering about like this crazy request. Let's see how long this is gonna take me. And Arwen is just like spot on how an engineer is.
I love that because as a viewer with no knowledge, I am even like, do hotels have engineers or do they just like hire out? But it kind of makes sense you would have someone that's he's kind of like a superintendent.
Mm-hmm. That is what they're like. And it's normally a whole department. Like, it's weird that they just show Arwen. I get that they can't show a whole department. So in my head, Arwen would be like the director of engineering.
Oh God, imagine him managing people though.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, these are the type of people that are in charge of hotel engineers. Like, it is pretty accurate, personality-wise.
He's just a big kid who likes to try everything.
Do you have anything else? Do you have any quotes?
Do I have any quotes? I don't actually think that I do.
Okay, neither do I. Do you want to go into episode 22?
Episode 22, Kisses and Basketball. They play basketball and Arwen's the coach because they needed an adult. And their team is down by 1 point from making it to the finals. And Zack makes the final shot because Zack is the basketball pro and Cody is the bench warming pro. And Max is on their team. And she, when they're all cheering, kisses him. Oops, in front of everybody. And then everyone on the team is making fun of Zack for kissing a girl. And he's like, it's not a girl, it's Max. And Max is like, I wasn't kissing you. There was a bug on your face and I was killing it with my mouth. And now there's tension and it's awkward. And Cody and Tapeworm are like, you got to take one for the team and take that girl on a date. And he's like, what? That's weird. We're 12 and that's not a girl. But they're like, no, you got to do it. So he asks her on a date and they go to the restaurant at the Tipton. Of course they do. That's where everyone goes on their dates. And Patrick is there and he's very sassy. And they actually have a really good time. They're like throwing spitballs at Patrick. Max is in a dress and he's like, wait a second, why is she kind of cute? And then he's like, I'm so glad the boys told me to take one for the team and ask you out. And she's like, I'm sorry, what? And pies him in the face with her sundae.
Yep.
So then they go, it's the finals and she shows up late, but they're like, wow, you did actually show up. We were surprised by that. And she was like, yeah, I'm not gonna let this stupid boy ruin our game. But Zack is sucking, so Cody gets subbed in and the ball bounces off his head and makes it into the hoop, which is kind of cool. But then he has a concussion, so Zack has to go back in. So he and Max have to make up and they decide to just be friends and then they win the championship. All's fair in love and basketball.
All is fair in love and basketball. B plot, London is on a budget and she is told only purchase the necessities, but she cannot stop shopping. So Maddie's like, I'm going to steal all your credit cards and I am going to make sure you are not going to shop. But then London's supposed to go to the beach house with her dad for the weekend, but her dad calls out and is like, actually, honey, I can't make it. And London's really upset and disappointed and needs to shop. And she's like, you know what? I have store credit. And Maddie's like, no, you cannot shop, only the necessities. And so, Maddie and London have this kind of talk where Maddie's like, I think you shop when you're disappointed. And they have this kind of like little touching, I guess you could say, heart to heart.
This episode, so good.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I think it's really good, but I have to say, like, all my notes were on the B plot. I feel like I didn't really focus on the A plot as much, but I do think it's really good because you get that Max and Zack kiss. You get a lot of like fun moments with like Arwen being out of his element, but also the B plot is really, really good.
Yeah, like I just think it's a really well-rounded episode.
Yeah.
Maybe if anything, like the plots were both a little too grounding, like we don't really have much of a balance, but I really like both plots for what they add to the characters. Mostly I really like the London thing and how we find out that she shops as a coping mechanism because I am a bit of an emotional shopper because I was raised by an emotional shopper, and that's a very real thing, unfortunately. Yep. I also really like Patrick. I like any episode that Patrick's in. He's so fun.
I feel like this is the only episode you've made me watch that Patrick's in, but I do enjoy him as a character. My London comments, one, I really liked that when Maddie goes into London's closet, it echoes. It's giving Hannah Montana closet.
Oh my god, she literally has a Hannah Montana closet. I did write that down. It's like the same.
Yeah, I wonder if it is shot on the same soundstage, actually, because now that would make sense, because they were very similar in shape as well.
Yeah, the rotating part. Yeah.
Yeah. London never sees her family at all, and I just like, I get that this is like set up and it continues. It's not like they just brought it up in this episode and it doesn't make sense. It is part of the story. However, I'm like, she's 15. Like, how is she functioning?
Mosby.
She's like, I know. Poor London.
Yeah, you're supposed to feel bad for her.
Yeah, I do. Also, London is sitting on like a stoop for a little bit. And she has a coffee in her hand because she's waiting for the stores to open to go shopping. And a woman comes by and drops a quarter in her coffee. And I'm like, why did we include that? Because like she very clearly is fully dressed and has a hot coffee just because someone is sitting down. I just did not love that.
Yep. It was unnecessary.
Those are my notes.
I have a note about the A plot, about all three. I don't know if it's mentioned in this episode or a previous episode, but it is mentioned at one point that the Tipton has 3 restaurants and all 3 of them have 4 stars. And yet, Max and Zack sit down at this restaurant and Patrick tells them that tonight's special is chicken fingers with curly fries and free ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
I really want you to think about that.
Okay, hear me out. I think that was clever writing because obviously that is not the special of the restaurant, but these are kids and that's what's on the kids menu.
Yeah.
So he is like playing it up as like the special is blah blah blah, but really he's just selling them the kids menu.
I get that. Yeah. And he knows that Zack lives there and he's not eating fancy shit. But I'm still like, do they even make chicken fingers and curly fries?
Yeah, of course, kids menu. People bring their kids.
Oh, you know what? In a very early episode, I don't remember what is going on, but there's a point where someone refers to the pointy end of a shoelace. And I was like, there's no way Cody or Maddie would not know that this is called an aglet. And then in this episode, Maddie does call it an aglet. And I'm like, wow, so she does know. And I don't know why it came full circle like that, but it really stuck out in my brain and I wrote it down.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Also, in general, like, they're so young. Like, as of filming this, they're probably around 11 and 12. And I know Allison Stoner said, like, the first few of their kisses were on screen and were things that she wasn't necessarily comfortable with or didn't feel like she could get out of. And, like, that part made me a little uncomfy. I feel like this one was one where they did kiss too, right? Like, I don't think it was like their mouths moved, but I think they touched, whereas like sometimes in Disney shows it's just like angled in a way so it looks like they're kissing, but very clearly it's just like their faces are close. You know what I mean? I think this one she actually like grabbed his face and they like...
Yeah, no, it seemed like a real kiss. But yeah, I know this is not the only first kiss. Well, the actor's first kiss, because I know Selena Gomez comes on to guest star, and she has said that that was her first kiss ever as well, and that was a not a great moment for her. So yeah, it does, like, should we be having actors kiss that young? But also the plot lines are kind of fun when they do. It's hard.
It's imagine being the twins and being like, I was so many actresses' first kisses and they all hated it.
Yeah, it was terrible. Are you ready to move on to favorite and least favorite episodes, or do you have quotes? I didn't have any quotes.
I don't have any quotes for this one besides the chicken fingers and french fries.
Okay.
Least favorite and favorite, I don't know that I have them. And you wrote that you don't know that you have them either.
Yeah, I just went back and kind of scrolled to see thoughts. It's hard because we just talked about these ones, so I feel like they're fresh in my mind. However, I do think least favorite is probably the Christmas episode. I thought it was weird. I didn't like any of the plot lines.
I can agree with that. I can agree because I don't like the Mary shit and I don't like the religious stuff.
Yeah, like I didn't like that plot line, but I also didn't like the Cody trying to get his parents back together. Like, none of it was good. Not saying the episode was bad. I still watched it and it still went by, but like, it just, in terms of what we've watched, in terms of favorite, I truly don't know if I could pick one, but I did really enjoy Dad's Back, and I did actually really enjoy Fairest of Them All, which was episode 2, the beauty pageant one.
You know what might be my favorite is Poor Little Rich Girl.
Okay.
I think I like London's character more than pretty much anyone else's because I don't know that anyone else has as much of a character.
Yeah, that's like set and you really understand her character.
Her and Carrie, I think, have the best characterization. There are episodes we did not talk about that I would say go in my least favorite that I liked even less than the Christmas one, which is why we didn't talk about them. But one being It's a Mad, Mad Hotel. and another to catch a thief. They're back to back, and it's both of them are like, one is there's jewel thieves in the hotel, and the other one is there's buried treasure in the hotel, and they're both really stupid. And back to back was just like insult to injury. Like I didn't even take
Fair.
notes on them because I was just like bored and annoyed I was watching them.
That's fair. We have a couple other things to shout out.
I have honorable
Disney-
mentions as well.
Oh yeah, go.
Sorry, I wanted to do that because we have these other ones and I feel like they go in our honorable mentions.
Yeah, start with your honorable mentions. Let's go.
So episode 15 is called Rumors, and it's one where there's rumors spread around the hotel that actually Maddie and Lance are engaged. The honorable mention about it is that it is the episode where Cody dyes his hair bright red, and he says that the box said it would be Honey missed Auburn, and Zack says, well, honey, you missed Auburn big time.
Yeah.
Also in that,
that's like one of those memes that like goes around. Like it is very popular.
yes, it's one of probably the most notable lines from the entire series.
100%.
There's also in that episode though, before that, Cody wears like a gangster outfit and Carrie says,
Oh,
yo,
Lord.
yo, yo, my peeps, what up? And faux shizzle, which is like not great.
Yeah. I had to rub my head because that made my brain hurt.
Yeah. Episode 16, Big Hair and Basketball. The Yankees give them tickets to the game, and it's a really sweet episode because Mosby ends up going with the Twins to the game, and Mosby knows nothing about baseball, and Cody really wants to catch a foul ball or, you know, whatever, one that goes in the stands, and Mosby catches a ball, but it's actually still in play because they're that close to the stadium, and then everyone in Boston hates him. But he was just trying to help Cody because they like bond, so that was fun to like see them bond.
Oh, cute. Yeah, that sounds like a really lovely episode. I kind of remember it too.
Episode 18, as you were going to say, Smart and Smarterer, is not on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and it only aired once as well. Like
really?
It was not. Yeah, it only ever aired once. They pulled it off the airing almost immediately. It wasn't on the reruns. It was not played. Like, it's probably one of those, like, there is a chance that we have never seen it.
I had seen it before. I watched it for this rewatch. You can find it online, guys, however you want, even though Disney pulled it. It's the introduction of Bob, who does become a recurring character in later seasons, but Bob has dyslexia, and Zack finds that out, and that he gets special treatment for it, aka like a little more time on his test because he's in special ed and stuff. And so Zack
also
pretends.
I have to interrupt.
Yeah.
Accommodations are not special treatment. Continue.
Yes. Thank you. It was a poor choice of words.
Yes.
But he gets accommodations for his dyslexia. So Zack pretends to have dyslexia, which is why it was pulled out, because it's like, that's fucked up. And of course he gets called out for it and they realize that he doesn't. But that's his whole thing, is that he's actually just lazy and wants to have more time on his tests.
Yeah.
Episode 24, Crushed, I want to shout out because it is the introduction of Agnes, who becomes a recurring character, and it's very creepy, and she is obsessed with Cody, and then Zack goes on a date for Cody, but then she realizes it's Zack, and she becomes obsessed with Zack, and it's also the, like, demonization of girls that are a little bit chubby and have frizzy hair.
Oh, no. We don't love that.
No. Episode 25, Commercial Breaks, is the one where they film a commercial in the Tipton, and it has virtually no plotline outside of that, which is why we didn't watch it. But it is very famous. It's the, like, when you stay at the Tipton is always on top.
Yeah. It also was nominated for a Creative Arts Emmy for Outstanding Choreography.
Yeah, it has good dancing in the commercial part. And my last shout out is the final episode of the season. It was very, very disappointing. It is called Boston Holiday, and it has a king and his son visiting from a tiny make-believe island country, and they repeatedly, like, there's a weird accent that's thrown around, and they refer to him as the Baba Ganoush guy, and it's just like they're from an island country between India and Thailand, supposedly. So there's just some weird, like, there's a headscarf that's not real. It's like Cody supposedly knows the stuff about. It's weird. It's weird. It's kind of
Okay.
like the African prince in Raven episode where it's like a fictionalized one. So it's like we can't really offend anyone because it's all fake, but we're also
Fictional.
offending everyone because we're like taking
Being
stereotypes and making
offensive.
it into a fake thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Didn't love it. But those are the honorable mentions in general. Like, solid season.
Really solid season. I think, at least speaking for myself, better than I was expecting. Like, I'm watching way less than Amanda, so I'm going to have a slightly different opinion than her because I'm not watching all of the episodes. However, like, really, really enjoyable season. Up next is season 2, which is a beast. I do want to get in the habit of telling you guys, like, oh, if you want to watch along with us, we have not picked out the season 2 episodes yet, but hopefully we'll like add it to the notes. I'll definitely post it on our stories and try to note it in our Instagram as well, so you can watch along with us. Season 2 most likely will be 2 to 3 podcast episodes because it is almost 40 episodes of television, so it's a big one, but we are on this sweet life ride with ya. As always, you can find us on Instagram and YouTube at 90s Babies Nostalgia. Spell out the word 90s. We also are on TikTok, but use numbers there. Please, please, please rate and review if you have a moment on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really helps us out. And with that, we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.